Hello, good morning, and welcome to, or good morning or good evening, depending on where we are today. But this is episode 21 of Montague Island Books. And my guest on the show this evening was born in the United Kingdom in 1962. He was educated at Charles Sturt University in New South Wales in Australia. And he became a writer in 2015 when he embarked on a 6-month project to produce a written family history for his children, Rachel, Christopher, and Hayley. Now, through this research, he developed a passion for writing and skullduggery. His book is a continuation of this. It's an exciting, mysterious, fictional, and historically accurate adventure that pulls no punches about the life and hardships of peasant farmers living on the moors of Yorkshire in 1590, a time when life expectancy was 35, children rarely lived past the age of 6, and ale was consumed liberally because water was undrinkable. Sounds like a good plan. Now, reading this novel, you will walk the moors around Haworth, I can never remember how you say that, Haworth, and try a jack of ale at the King's Arms. You will laugh, cry, and feel empathy for young Thomas Rushworth and his family, who face the rigours of life living as copyholders on Lord Birkhead's land at Hall Green. Rat baiting, shenanigans, murder, deception, and love, which we all love in a book, will keep you enthralled right until the end. But be forewarned, as the author paints a realistic literary picture, which quite easily places you amidst the tale. So, as this says, turn the page now and step back in time to a period in history which seems simpler, but one in which hardship, survival, death, and skullduggery were a daily occurrence in the lives of people of West Riding. Now, our author guest, currently lives with his wife Claire in Sydney, Australia, which is why we've got it's 9 a.m., just gone 9 a.m. here in the UK, but it's 6 p.m. in Sydney. And in Sydney, our author teaches at a local high school, and he's currently writing a sequel to this novel set in the time of the English Civil War, which continues the adventures of Thomas and William Rushworth. So I'm very delighted to welcome our author guest tonight, Paul Rushworth-Brown. Good evening, Paul. How are you?
Hi, Joe. Thanks for having me.
Great, lovely to have you here with us. And I see we've got somebody else coming in, so I'll just let them come in first. So, do you want to? Obviously, I think I picked the bio up from Amazon. Amazon or your website. I'm not sure now, but perhaps you can tell us a little bit more and a bit more about the book, when it came out, where we can get it, where people can sort of get more information on you and the book, etc.
Well, it was originally self-published, and then I sent the manuscript to a number of publishers, and Shoreline Publishing of Melbourne picked it up, and we signed a contract, and they agreed to edit it and redesign the cover and re-release it. And it's been quite successful over here, sales-wise. It's available on Booktopia, which is one of the major Australian distributors. But just recently, it's been released in the UK and the US, and it's available on Ables, which is the UK book distributor. Yeah, it's very exciting that I have a publisher. I mean, you know yourself how difficult it is to get a publisher, and Bradley Shaw at Shoreline Publishing have been very, very supportive and very a wonderful experience.
Great, yeah. And when did you self-publish it, and when did the publisher pick it up?
So I self-published it in 2019, but obviously self-publishing is a very, very expensive deal, as you would know. Once Shoreline picked it up, it was re-released in April of 2020. April 2020, and it's great guns. There's been on BBC have contacted me, America Tonight with Kate Delaney. They sort of contacted me, so yeah, it's been very, very successful.
Great, yeah. I would imagine having your sort of debut book coming out in April 2020, just as the pandemic was set in, I imagine that caused a bit of a few problems for you.
Yeah, well, we were supposed to have a book launch, and obviously the book launch had to be cancelled. So I've still got cases of books like sitting here ready to distribute it at some point in time.
Great, yeah. So where can people get hold of the book, and how can they sort of contact you on social media?
I've got obviously on my own website. They just do a Google search on Paul Rushworth-Brown, Skullduggery. My website will come up. But yeah, I'm on Facebook and all the major social media channels. But look, it's readily available at all good bookshops, and obviously online. It's on Kindle, it's on Kobo, and yeah, very, very easy to get a hold of.
Great. And you were I mentioned in the introduction that you're currently writing a second book, a sequel set in the English Civil War. How is that progressing?
Yeah, it's going to be released in the new year. So I've just signed a contract with Shoreline Publishing again, and it'll be released worldwide probably January or October. That's right, October. And
October of this year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we start all the marketing and that for that around August. So it's coming up very, very soon. I'm quite excited about it because once again, that was originally self-published, and now that Shoreline Publishing have picked it up, obviously they'll do their business and redesign the cover, get it professionally edited, and but not only that, because as you probably know, you sort of like grow so much as an author between sort of like the beginning of the first novel and sort of like the second novel, that I actually went back to the original manuscript of Winter of Red and actually started going through it, and it's got a lot more depth. And look, I think it's a very good read, and I think it's going to be quite popular.
Great. Were there any sort of difficulties you found writing the second book compared to the first one?
Now, look, I wrote Skullduggery in a year and then published it. Wrote Winter of Red in a year and then published it. And then sort of like going back and I suppose going through Winter of Red and the editing process and with Skullduggery is sort of like helped me grow as an author, so that I can sort of like make not so much change the story, but I suppose I call it colouring in. Right. And I mean, Winter of Red, it's set in the time of the English Civil War, but there's actually sort of like three stories going on in it. And I always like to put a little bit of mystery, romance, twists and turns, a little bit of whodunit in there. And I suppose from the experience of Skullduggery, it's just allowed me to grow as an author and develop that a little bit more. But not only that, I've written a third, which is called Dream of Courage, and I'm sort of like probably, I mean, the story's finished, but that'll be released probably next year, the following year.
So you're well ahead, and you're planning ahead. You've got 3 in the bag already.
Yeah. I'll do about 10.
Yeah,
I'll do about 10. Then that'll be it.
Wonderful. So how do you, obviously we were saying, you work as a teacher. How do you manage to fit sort of, your teaching profession and your writing profession? How do you manage to sort of keep them split and time manage them both?
Yeah, good question. Look, I obviously teaching takes up a lot of my time, but and obviously you've got marking and all that type of thing, and that. But so I tend to sort of like write usually Saturday, Sunday mornings,
Right.
and once I start, I don't sort of like plan when I'm going to write, but any spare time I have, I'll sort of like sit down and jot down a few words. But I find that the way I write is I don't plan anything, and basically what I do is I tend to develop a backbone to the story, right? And that might take, it could take 9 months to a year, and then what I do is it might take another year to sort of like fill in all the bits and pieces that go around it.
I would imagine you've got a lot of research because it's so sort of historical. It's like, what, 1590, the first book. I would imagine there's quite a lot of research involved that you have to do as well.
Oh, months and months and months. When I wrote Skullduggery, I had to go over to Howarth and spend some time at Keighley Library. They were extremely helpful. I actually was able to pinpoint where my great-grandfather times 10, the land that he would have actually lived on. Wow. When he was working for Lord Birkhead. So yeah, months and months of research, and I try to. Well, I suppose one of the strengths of my novels is that they're very historically accurate, and I don't pull any punches. It's been a wonderful process. So I mean, I used to be a soccer coach, so going from a soccer coach to an author, a published author, it's quite an amazing journey.
Yeah, definitely. And is it sort of, I know you're sort of saying about going back through generations. Is there a lot, and you were saying obviously, with your research, is there a lot of the sort of the characters based on fact as well, or is that more sort of fictional?
The names, like Thomas Rushworth, who's the protagonist in Skullduggery, he was actually my great-grandfather times 10. So I suppose, in that, when you sort of like paint that character, there's probably a little bit of of me in him. There's a little bit of my father in him. And obviously, you got to have a good imagination as well as sort of like that knowledge of history at the time.
Yeah.
But yeah, and I think that's sort of like one difference between Skullduggery and Winter of Red is that as an author, I've been able to sort of like improve my character development.
Yeah.
And so yeah.
Yeah, so you can see your growth in your character writing and sort of general writing as well, which is which is great. So what we'll do is we have got some guests now. I believe some of the guests are part of from your school as well, which is really nice. And they will have chance to ask questions at the end. But what we'll do now is we will start packing your suitcase ready for your trip to Montague Island. Now, for the students and people who haven't sort of listened to the show before, Montague Island is a fictional island which was created by Mike Craven, M.W. Craven, in his book that came out last year, The Curator. And I just moved up to Cumbria and read the book and loved it, and that is where the idea from the for the sort of show came along. So you will be whisked off to Montague Island off the coast of Cumbria in England, and where today it is sunny in Cumbria for a change. And when you'll be taking along with you several things that you've sort of had a chance to choose, and we'll sort of discuss them with you and just see what you've chosen. When you get on the island as well, there's an imaginary set of M.W. Craven books, all the Washington and Poe book novels so far, for you to keep you company. So let's say we'll start going through the books first of all. So what's the first book you've chosen, Paul, to take with you on the island?
Dream of Courage, because I have to finish it.
I like that. That's a cracker. So you'll get it finished. I'm not sure how you will get it out to everybody and back to your publisher. You might have to take a very big bottle as well.
Yeah. And he'll probably send me another bottle back saying, edit this or change that. So
great. But yeah, it's a good start, taking a book that your part written. And what's your second book going to be?
Probably Catch-22.
Yeah. Any particular reason behind that one being a favourite?
What was that?
Any particular reason behind that one being a favourite?
Just as a teenager, I remember sort of like reading that, and it was like one of the few books that actually made me laugh. But I'll be honest with you, because I spend so much time writing, I don't do a hell of a lot of reading, except for obviously my own novels. But I mean, I think things like Jungle Book and as a kid I used to read Enid Blyton. Look, I spent and I love Charles Dickens.
Yeah,
I love Charles Dickens. So if I was to be deserted on an island, I would take 5 volumes of Charles Dickens.
Yeah. So we'll put Charles Dickens down as your number 3. And have you got another one? Have you got a fourth one?
Let's see. I've actually like to try. I've been looking at a number of authors that Shoreline Publishing books that indie authors have published. So I'd probably take a couple of the indie authors.
Yeah, a couple of indie authors
to support them.
Yeah, like great.
Katie,
yeah.
Sorry, not Katie Lang. Katie. I can't remember her last name now, but she's a fantasy writer. So I'll probably take one of hers.
Yeah.
Just check it out. Look, to be honest with you, I'd take. I always like to try and improve my writing, so I'd probably take a copy of Winter of Red to just have a look. Because what I do after I've written a novel, I like to sort of like read it as a reader rather than an author, and sometimes isn't so like the best thing to do, because then you obviously you become very, very critical of yourself, and you go, oh my God, why did I write that, or I should have written that better, or so look, Charles Dickens would do it for me. Wilbur Smith.
Yeah. Any particular one of Wilbur Smith, or would you take a selection?
I'd take a selection, but look, I'd love to be able to say that there was a little bit of Wilbur Smith and a little bit of Charles Dickens in my writing. I'm probably grasping a little bit too far for that, but I think that'd be it. Yeah,
that's great. I was going to ask you if there was any authors that sort of inspired you. And what is there a book that you would recommend to your students, or apart from your own, obviously, which would come first? But is there a book that you would recommend to your students to read?
Let me think. I'd recommend that they read To Kill a Mockingbird.
Mm.
Yeah,
Right.
To Kill a
Yeah.
Mockingbird.
Any particular reasoning behind that? Putting you on the spot.
Because I was forced to read it in high school myself. I should make it out of it.
So you want to put them through the same treatment? Yeah, it's surprising how we all remember those kind of books, isn't it? Really,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
great. So we've got an idea of the selection of books that you'd take with you. Now, we believe that on this remote island there is you get roughly an hour a day of electricity. And so you're allowed to take a CD with you, just one CD. You know, that can be music, it could be, you know, like an audio book or whatever. What would you take as a CD?
Oh, that's an easy question. Supertramp, Breakfast in America.
Nice, great album. Is it an album that you always sort of go back to?
Yeah, I do. It just brings back such great memories as an adolescent. You know, because I grew up in Canada,
Right.
and we used to sort of like go to Wasaga Beach, you know, back in the '80s, and a friend of mine owned an old Ford, and we'd just throw. There'd be sort of like 6 or 7 of us in this old Ford, cruising up to the lakes, and have, you know, breakfast in America, sort of like just blaring, you know. Now it brings back memories of great times, and then sleeping on the beach and all that type of thing. So no, good memories.
Great. Yeah, you definitely couldn't have done that when you were in England. But yeah, great album. And the same for a DVD. You're allowed to take one DVD, which can be, you know, it can be a film, it can be like a TV series or concert footage. What would you take for a DVD?
Oh, that's another easy question. Kingdom of Heaven.
What was that? Sorry, King of Heaven.
Kingdom of Heaven.
Kingdom of Heaven.
Yeah. It's like takes place in the Crusades.
Oh yeah.
And it's a story of sort of like a young man, young, I suppose, the peasant man that manages to become a knight and battle the Arabs over there.
Yeah.
For the control of Jerusalem.
Yeah.
And very interesting movie. I don't think it had as much press as what I thought it deserved. But yeah, I'd watch that on. And Braveheart. I love Braveheart as well. Yeah. If I could take 2 CDs, Braveheart and Kingdom of Heaven.
Brilliant. Good choices. Good choices. And what about a food? Do you have a sort of favourite food that you would take with you? Or, as I say, as it's an imaginary island, it can be a meal, an everlasting meal, so to speak. What would you take with you?
Oh, my wife's chicken schnitzel.
Right.
Homemade chicken schnitzel.
Yeah. Remind you of home.
Yeah, with gravy.
Is that a regular favourite of yours?
Yeah.
Great.
Makes it so like once every few weeks.
Yeah, great. So you got your chicken schnitzel, you've got your
dessert?
Supertramp, you've got your Kingdom of Heaven and all your books. Well, the final thing is a luxury item. Now, as I say, because this is fantasy, we've had all kinds of weird and wonderful answers to this. But as a luxury item, if you're stuck away on a remote island, there's no way of getting off, what would you take as a luxury item?
Can this be plugged in?
As I say, you only get 1 hour of electric a day. And if you're watching a DVD or in a CD, you might use your power up quick.
I would take a blender.
A blender?
Yeah.
Right, that's a different one. Not had that before. Go on, explain that one to us.
Well, there's going to be bananas. There's going to be coconuts. Right.
Not in Kendal, in Cumbria. You might get a bit of seaweed.
Okay. No, I would take a luxury item. Oh, that's a hard one, Joe.
What would you miss from home most of all that you could take with you?
Oh, I would say my wife, but I would take my dog.
Your
My
dog.
dog breeder. Yeah.
Great, yeah. I think that's a good choice, and I think a lot of people would take the dog with them. So yeah, that's great. Well, thanks for all of them choices, and it's great to hear what you would sort of take along with you to, because obviously you have a lot of time available. So interesting to hear what you would take with you. So I wonder if any of our guests, and here's a bit where Paul gets anxious. I wonder if our guests have any questions for you. If they would like to unmute themselves and ask the question, now is your opportunity.
I have a question.
Yes, go ahead.
So, sir, I'm going to call you Paul. What soccer team did you coach exactly?
Right now.
Well, you said that you mentioned you mentioned you were a coach before.
I'm actually retired from coaching now, but I used to coach one of the New South Wales state teams, and I coached one of the national teams, the Pararoos.
Right.
Interesting. Thank you.
Thanks for the question. Great question. Anybody else got a question they'd like to ask? If you just want to unmute yourself. Think you've got off lightly there, Paul.
Yeah.
Could have been a bit of a nervous time that with having your some of your your school on here as well. So just finally, before we finish, do you want to tell everybody again about Skullduggery and about your future books, where they can get hold of them, and throughout the world now, and also where they can sort of contact you on social media and your website?
Yeah, look, they can purchase novels from any of the good bookshops in the UK, US, and obviously Australia. Skullduggery is distributed by Abels and Gardeners in the UK, and by Booktopia in Australia, and Abe's also distributed in the US, and Winter of Red, as I said, the marketing for that starts in August and will be released in October, hopefully. But look, I can be found on Facebook and media. They just do a Google search on Paul Rushworth-Brown Skullduggery, and I come up. But it's been really, really nice being on your show, and thanks for inviting me.
Great, thank you. It's been nice to have you. Now, somebody else said this is from Paul Brown's biggest fan. They said, "What is your favourite food?" But I think you've already answered that with your chicken schnitzel.
Yeah.
But somebody just put that in the chat. Well, thank you very much for joining us today, Paul, and also for your guests that have come along as well and listened in. Somebody is actually just trying to come in now, just as we end. I will let them in, but they're a bit late, unfortunately. But as I say, many thanks for joining us today. I appreciate it's early evening over there, and hope you have a great evening. Just to let everybody know that this will be uploaded on YouTube later, so you'll be able to watch it and obviously share it on social media. And our next guest is tomorrow evening in UK time, and that's Lisa LeBon. And looking forward to hearing. She's also a new writer, so looking forward to. We're all coming. I think they've all got the time wrong, Paul, because they're all coming in now. We've got another Paul, Paul Parker, who's just joined us. So I think they have all possibly got the time wrong.
And also, yes, some of them are sort of like coming home from work, and that's all good. Can I just quickly do a shout out to all the boys in my sports science class at Ashfield Boys? I promised them that I'd do that on in interviews. So
yeah, and best wishes to them from everyone here in the UK. Somebody just put on, sorry for not doing the homework, sir. So we're obviously after after a bit of praise there, and you better get the homework done. So, but somebody has also called you a legend, so that's great to hear from your, from your students. I will just ask, just finally, because I say we've had a couple of people come in late, if they want to unmute themselves and ask any questions, now is your opportunity. No, you've got to wait for the second time, Paul.
Yeah, they're all shy because I know who they are by their voice.
That's it. Well, we'll say goodbye now. Thank you very much to you all. Have a lovely evening from us here in England, and we'll don't forget, go out, buy the book, and look out for future releases from Paul as well. Thank you. Bye for now.
See you, Joe.
Cheers.